Okay, so today I'm going to be going over a bunch of things that I do outside the gym to help with my performance in the gym. Let's get into it. Okay, so I'm going to kind of just go through my day of when I do these things, and that's kind of just the order I'm going to go in. So the first thing I do every day, every single morning, is a cold shower. I immediately wake up. Within 5 minutes, I'm in a cold shower. So I do this because, one, it'll help me build resilience in the fact that the first thing I'm doing every day is probably going to be the hardest thing and the thing I want to do least for the entire day. Like trying to do a cold shower right after waking up, like you honestly don't even want to be up. You want to go back in your bed, go fall asleep, hit snooze on the alarm. And what are you doing? No, I'm getting in a cold shower. Like that is just such a hard thing to wake up and do. And just doing that every day, it makes sure that the hardest part of your day is done within the first 15 minutes. And then everything else that day just kind of seems easier. So also cold exposure is very good for you. So that's another reason I do it. I wish I could have like a cold tub and get some real cold exposure because I do feel like my shower is kind of cold, like not that cold comparatively to something like that, but gotta make do with what we have. So then immediately after, I take AG1. AG1 is like a green supplement. So it has, I believe it's 75 plus different essential vitamins and minerals. It also has some other like stuff in it. It has ashwagandha, it has a couple mushrooms in it, and it's just kind of like an all-inclusive supplement. So this, in my opinion, probably isn't the most ideal or perfect thing to be taking, but I take it because I don't have the time or money to do the research on myself to figure out exactly what I'm deficient in and what I should be taking. So if you do have the time or money, go do that. Like if there is a point in my life where I do have the time and money, I will probably try and do something like that. But for most people, and for me, AG1 is a perfect supplement. It is a little pricey, but with all the benefits I've felt, I think it's definitely worth it. And I take it with, it says 8 to 10 ounces of water. I usually do a little bit more just because I don't love the taste of it, which is why I also add a little bit of lemon juice and I sprinkle some salt in and take that every morning. And personally, I can say I've noticed like a tremendous difference between before I took it and now after. Like I can definitely tell like my gut health is a lot better. So I would definitely recommend that. Okay, so the next thing is creatine. Creatine is great for, it can increase your muscle size, give you some muscle strength, because what creatine does is it increases the water retention in all of your muscles. So with that being said, you also have to be very careful to make sure you're staying hydrated while taking creatine, which I'm gonna get into in a little bit. But creatine also has some cognitive effects where it can improve like your brain function a little bit. So personally, as long as you can actually stay hydrated and drink the water, I personally think anyone should be taking creatine. I don't really see any side effects to it or any downside. So I would personally recommend taking creatine, even if like you're not even that big of a gym rat. Definitely would recommend that one. So into the hydration, I don't know like the ounces to how much you're supposed to drink for your body weight. I always just go with the rule of thumb of try and drink around a gallon of water a day, because a gallon of water is a good amount. That'll definitely keep you hydrated with your creatine. So along with hydration, you also have to think about like electrolytes and stuff like that, because hydration isn't just about water. You also have to take those other aspects into effect. So one way that I do that is I use BuckedUp's hydration formula, and I don't take it every day, but for any day I notice I'm feeling dehydrated or whatever, or maybe I just sweat extra that day, maybe I went for a long run or did some extra cardio or whatever it was. On days like that, I'm going to take a scoop of that BuckedUp hydration just to try and get my body back to where it needs to be so that I'm fully hydrated. Okay, so the next thing I want to talk about is your diet. Your diet is so important for how you feel and the progress you're going to see in the gym. So the first thing is you need to be eating a relatively clean diet. What I mean by a clean diet is you should not be having a crazy amount of processed foods. They are so bad for you and they make you feel bad. A great example of this in my life at least was I don't really eat that much fast food, and when I do, I go to the places that tend to be like considered healthier, like a Chipotle or Chick-fil-A compared to like a McDonald's. But last summer I had McDonald's for the first time in like 8 months. My stomach was in so much pain after eating that McDonald's. And like, it really showed me like how, once I got my body eating cleaner foods, because I cook most of my own meals, my body like literally couldn't handle processing all that processed food. Like, it was just, it hurt so much. So that's what I mean by saying clean foods. Like, you just need to be eating a clean diet as much as you can. Like, try and eliminate the processed foods. But I also understand there's gonna be points where you're gonna eat them and you might have some McDonald's or whatever. Once in a while is fine, but that's why I like to try and go with like the 80-20 rule. And I do that focused on more like of a weekly basis, where I try and make 80% of the food I eat meals that I've cooked that I know are pretty clean foods, and 20% of the time will be me indulging in something that probably isn't as great, but I want it that day because for whatever reason. Maybe it's just the only thing open in the area at the time or whatever. But that's why I would say go with the 80-20 rule. Another thing focusing on your diet is you need to be eating high in protein if you're focusing on the gym. I don't care if you're cutting, bulking, I don't care what you're doing, you need to be eating high protein. I'd say the minimum you should be eating is 0.7 grams of protein per pound of body weight. I typically do somewhere between 0.7 and maybe like 1 or 1.2 grams of protein per pound of body weight, but that's just me. But you need to be eating at least 0.7 because eating protein will allow you to, while you're bulking, put on muscle. If you're trying to maintain, keep that muscle, and as well as cutting, it'll allow you to maintain that muscle. So the last thing with diet is the calories are going to depend obviously based on your goals. So if you're bulking, you're going to be wanting to eat in a surplus by a couple hundred calories. And if you're cutting, you're going to be wanting to eat in a deficit by a couple hundred calories, and maintenance, you're just going to be eating around maintenance. If you want some ideas of meals, I have a cutting and bulking video that I'm going to tag that playlist at the end of this video. So you can go check those out. Okay, so the next thing I want to talk about is sleep. Sleep is so important. You need to be getting good, consistent sleep. You should probably be getting somewhere between 7 to 9 hours of sleep every night. And one thing to take into account that I didn't realize until I started trying to track my sleep using like my Apple Watch is if you're in bed for, let's say, 8 hours, you're probably only getting about 7 hours of actual sleep because you're gonna wake up throughout the night, either to go to the bathroom, or a lot of times you're gonna wake up and not even realize that you were awake. But if you actually were tracking your sleep using like an Apple Watch or whatever other device, you'd notice that your body registers as being awake during those times because you were almost awake, or it could be one of those times where you woke up but just don't remember it. And so whatever time you think you slept the previous night, you probably got an hour less. So that's why, like, when I want my 8 hours every night, I get in bed, phone away, everything, 9 hours before. Another great way to get good sleep, and these are 2 tips that kind of coincide for me personally at least, is I try and wake up and go to sleep at the same time every single night. And one way I do that is I set it on my phone to have my alarm set for the same time every day. If you have an iPhone, you can do this in like this sleep part. And so I have an alarm set for 8:30 every morning, and my phone goes into sleep mode at 11:30 at night. And if you haven't used sleep mode on your iPhone, it basically is like do not disturb, but for a set amount of time. So my phone goes into it I get a notification at 11:29 that my phone's about to go into sleep mode. 11:30 p.m. it goes into sleep mode, and I will not receive any notifications until 8:30. So for me, that is like perfect because I know like your phone buzzing can definitely keep you up. So that's one way to be able to just get better sleep. And one other thing is you could take magnesium. Magnesium is a very good sleep supplement. I know a lot of people know about melatonin as a sleep supplement. Personally, I don't like the idea of taking melatonin as a sleep supplement. If you want to, it's up to you, your choice, your life, but I personally wouldn't recommend it. And the last thing that I really want to push is so many people are like, oh, I'll sleep when I'm dead, but especially if you're a gym rat, sleep is where your muscles actually repair. The gym is where you're tearing them, breaking them down, but sleep is where your muscles actually grow and repair, and they actually make progress towards your goals. So sleep is so important, especially as a gym rat. Okay, and the last thing I want to talk about is Epson Salt. So this is something I definitely don't do every day. It's more of a as needed thing, but Epsom salt is absolutely amazing for recovery. So for those of you that don't know, is you take an Epsom salt bath. So you're gonna put in, I believe it's like 1 to 2 cups of Epsom salt in a warm to hot water bath, and you're gonna soak in it for 20 to 30 minutes. Epsom salt is great for relief in muscle soreness, muscle aches, bruises, and I believe there's some other stuff, but those are like the main 3 that I use it for. So like if maybe I did a form of exercise that I'm not used to and I'm really sore the next day, or if I have a lot of knee problems, like if my knee's flaring up or my back's bothering me, whatever it is, that night I'm gonna try and take an Epsom salt bath for like 20 to 30 minutes, just soak in that. And I definitely do, it's honestly just relaxing. I definitely do feel the recovery aspects of it when I get out of the bath. So personally, I would definitely recommend it. I don't know if that's something you really should be doing every day, but if you want to do it a couple times a week or something like that, even less frequently, as I said, I use it as needed. So take with that what you will and try and figure out a way you can implement that if you would like. I hope y'all enjoyed these tips that I use for recovery and just improving my performance inside the gym, but doing things outside the gym to do so. So like, comment, subscribe, send this to anyone you know who lifts so they can figure out ways to better recover themselves. And I'll catch y'all next Sunday at 5 p.m. Catch you there.